The Home Secretary is calling for an urgent ban on American XL bully dogs, describing the breed as a clear and lethal danger.
A warning, these pictures show a dog attack. Suella Braverman's move comes after an XL bully launched a rampage in the streets of Birmingham on Saturday, mauling an 11-year-old girl for chasing down two men who were trying to stop the attack. So, should American XL bully dogs be banned? To discuss this, we're joined by dog trainer Kay Tawaya with her XL bully Niger.
Yeah, and we also have the dog behaviourist Stan Rawlinson, who joins us from Surrey. Good morning to all of you.
Morning.
Good morning. And thanks for bringing your dog in as well. I feel quite nervous about it. Do you get that a lot? I mean, I'm sitting further back. I feel quite... my shackles are up, you know?
Yeah. I think you're feeling that way maybe because of the news and things that some people who have never had any experience with the actual breed, they have a lot to say. I understand that obviously the attacks are serious and it makes sense for people to feel worried, but I think we really need to think about where is the problem actually coming from, because there's way too many XL bullies for us to say they're the most dangerous breed in the world. We would be having attacks every day if that was the case.
There have been 9 deaths in the UK in the last 2 years. That sounds like an awful lot to me.
It is a lot.
One breed of dog.
I think it's because of the fashion of the dog. It's that everybody wants an XL bully. Everyone and their mom, friends, cousin, sister, everyone has an XL bully. And everyone's almost breeding an XL bully. That's the quick get-rich scheme right now when it comes to the dog game.
How much are they worth?
During COVID times, you would get a dog like this for like 3K, 4K. Like now times, it's a bit difficult, so it's reduced. So maybe you can still 1K, 2K, yeah.
Stan, the numbers on dog attacks are very shocking, actually. The episodes of people going to hospital for dog attacks have doubled since 2007. There was, in 2007, there were 1,900 victims who required an operation. That's gone up to 3,200 in the latest figures from last year. I mean, that's a massive rise. That can't all be blamed, can it, on this particular breed of XL bully dogs? Is there a bigger problem going on? And is it potentially what's going on that these XL bullies are being scapegoated?
Okay, yeah, there is a bigger picture, Ed, and the bigger picture is very simple. Lockdown meant that people couldn't socialise their dogs during a critical period of 0 to 16 weeks. It's the most important period of the dog's life. Because we were locked down, those dogs couldn't be mixed with children, with people, with other dogs, and therefore the level of aggression comes in. However, a little couple of facts for you. In the last 3 years, deaths through dog attacks has leapt up enormously. Now, the big figure is 75% of those deaths were caused by XL bullies. 75%. That is ludicrous. That is totally off scale.
Yeah. And
the average death... Sorry, I won't partake.
No, carry on.
The average amount of deaths every year is 2.5. Last year it was 10. It's 6 already this year. And the year before that, it was 4. So we've really shot up. And the problem is, we get a lot of people that say, hang on a second here, it's not the dog's fault, it's the owner's fault. That mantra by the late and not so great Barbara Woodhouse. She was a bit heavy-handed with dogs, to put it mildly, but she coined no bad dogs, only bad owners. It's actually totally untrue. And the other thing that these people spout is scientific knowledge says that these dogs are no more aggressive than any other dogs. Absolutely and totally rubbish.
And can I just make clear to viewers that you were called as an expert witness for the 1991 Dangerous Dogs Act, weren't you? I mean, you deal with dangerous dogs. You're not just a dog behaviourist. I mean, you spend your time looking at this deeply.
I'm a specialist in it, and so I have to assess both temperament and for breed type. And I'll be honest with you, I have probably assessed over the years just about every single solitary breed. But at this moment in time, it'd be the only dog I'd refuse to assess. I think they're far too reactive. They are bred to be aggressive.
Well, Kay here is shaking her head, as you might expect.
Yes.
Let's just get Kay to give her point of view here. And how hard... Do you accept any of what Stan is saying there, that actually you can be as good an owner as you want to be, but this particular dog has it bred into them to be overreactive and to go for the throat? I mean, that's what they do. And you can be as good as you want as a trainer, and I'm sure you are. Clearly you are. Your dog is docile at the moment.
The thing is, this behaviour it's breed standard. These breeds are not... If I brought my Doberman here, higher energy, maybe a bit more like, these dogs don't want to jump about the place. You go online and you see people who own these dogs, they will tell you that the dog is calm. I think a person that doesn't assess the dogs, doesn't train the dogs, you don't really have any close relationship apart from the statistics. Like you right now, he's the same as you to me.
No, Stan, just be clear, Stan does physically interact with dogs all his life.
That's fine. But I think he's being very clear that he doesn't assess XL bullies. He doesn't work with XL bullies.
But the thing is, Kay, look...
let's come back.
I have...
Go on, Stan.
I'm sorry, the XL bully has been around since 1980, when it was created in America by the hip-hop and the gangster rap type situation. They wanted a big, aggressive thing that could hide their stash, could do this, could do that, could do the other, and was an extension of their egos. This dog is not a nice dog. If it was a nice dog, we wouldn't have them facts. Another fact is, this dog is 270 times more likely to kill than any other breed. And I've had to tell your guest there one thing. Yeah, really important. At least 3 of the victims in 2022, since 2022, have experienced... They're really experienced dog handlers, including Adam Watts, who had decades of experience rehabilitating abused dogs, were killed.
So he's giving a warning to you there that perhaps you're not safe around your own dog. Go on.
The thing is, Kay, you know, the fact is 75% of these deaths have been caused by XL bullies. That's a fact.
100%.
And there's been a big rise in those numbers. Now, if you take, people who die in a gun attack, it's not the gun's fault. It's the owner of the gun. But we've decided to ban handguns because handguns are so dangerous. And if we take that approach to handguns, if the facts say XL bullies are the dogs which are killing people, isn't the responsible thing for society to do to say, own other dogs, don't own the killer dog?
I think, similar to the example you just gave there, like nitrous oxide right now, they're about to ban that, right? Because it's now becoming an illegal substance, because people are misusing the substance. It wasn't created for the misuse that it's being used for. It's created for baking, for the right things. If people misuse it, now the government has to think of how can we make it safer for people? How can we legislate this or manage this better so people are not misusing this? So same thing goes. This dog is not bred or made to be an ultra-aggressive dog. Because of the high rise of people buying this particular breed, number one, because of the fact that multiple people are breeding them for a get-rich quick.
But people don't walk around our streets with guns because they're dangerous, and we think we should ban them because people die from them, even if people are well-trained in handling things properly. I'm not sure if we ban handguns, why don't we ban killer dogs?
OK, so what is a killer dog, though?
Well,
any dog can be
on the basis of the recent evidence, XL bullies.
So, but are you telling me that
I'm just saying
a German Shepherd that has way more higher strength that the police use is not able to...
I'm just saying that 75% of the deaths were XL bullies, and there've been a lot more deaths.
So what you're saying, your 75% is based on the high rise of people buying this dog. You have a cockapoo, and cockapoos have cocker rape.
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier in the show.
That is a constant thing that they do have. It is a resource guarding. They bite the most. A cockapoo can kill a child, though. Jack Russell,
you can
a Chihuahua. These are any dog can be a killer dog for the wrong person.
You make an interesting point, and we asked you on Twitter if is it still called Twitter?
Yeah.
Is it called X?
X, yeah.
Let's not call it Twitter. Whatever it is. We asked you if you thought XL bullies should be banned. 80% of you said yes, they should be banned. 20% said no. Can we just say thank you to you?
Thank you.
And clearly a responsible dog owner.
I've got to say, Niger has been beautifully behaved.
Yeah, it has actually. And also to Stan, who is our dog behaviourist expert.
This is Mr. Goodbar, the XL bully who's renowned for his size and appearance, with his offspring living all around the world.
The breed which the Prime Minister declared a danger to our communities is responsible for 70% of fatal dog attacks in the UK in the last year, despite only making up 1% of the UK dog population.
Well, Catherine Sabra is live from LA with Mr. Goodbar there, and Dr. Lawrence Newport is here in the studio in London. He has spearheaded the campaign to ban the breed in the UK, which has been a successful campaign. But, Catherine, let me come to you. If, as you would contend, it's the owners and not the breed that's the problem, then why are these dogs responsible in our country for 70% of fatal attacks, despite, as Susanna said, only making up 1% of the canine population?
Well, I think these dogs have grown a lot in popularity, especially since COVID. There was 3.2 million pets that came in during COVID, and a lot of these dogs were, unfortunately, you know, went to all different homes. And at the end of the day, during COVID, they couldn't be socialized, they couldn't walk, they couldn't do other things like that. And sorry, he's being very playful. But at the end of the day, can you hear me still?
Yes, hear you perfectly.
At the end of the day, Oh, OK. Sorry, because he's playing around with me. At the end of the day, I think that obviously the dogs are going in the wrong hands of the people. And it's hard for me to really comment on the specific breeds because a lot of what I've seen in the media don't look like these dogs. They don't look like this dog. But I'm not here to discuss these dogs that are doing attacks. I'm here to discuss the American bully that I know, that in 10 years of breeding, I've never personally had one of them attack me or seen any of them attack a person.
It's huge. Your dog is absolutely massive. I mean, even as I watch you playing around with him, I think, you know, you clearly have brought him up, care for him. I'm not disputing that. But if he decided to turn on you, you wouldn't have a chance.
He's 100% not going to. 100% not going to. If I thought that these dogs, after 10 years of dealing with them, were going to turn on people, I wouldn't do what I do. If I thought that these dogs were a teeny bit dangerous to people, my mom, who's 75 years old, wouldn't have one of these dogs.
Do you know what? That's exactly...
These dogs have never turned on me.
That's exactly what the owners of these dogs in this country said until the day that the dog did turn. Whether it turned on them, and it's usually on the families. It's not usually on strangers out and about. It's usually on a family member, and it can happen like that. And you know that. I mean, you know that we're not making this up. These dogs, I mean, you have full confidence in yours there, but these dogs can turn on a dime, as you say in America. And when they do, they are huge. I mean, that one weighs about 9 stone, which is, you know, like a young adult male. They have incredibly strong jaws. They have incredibly strong jaws.
Actually 10 stone.
10 stone, thank you. And they have incredibly strong jaws, which, when they bite down, can crush bone. If they do turn, and they do, they're very dangerous.
So if they turn, but I've dealt with more dogs than probably anybody that's speaking right now of these dogs. And I've dealt with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them over the course of 10 to 15 years. And never, ever have I seen one turn. Okay. Never have they turned on me. So if these dogs are so dangerous, why have I never seen one turn? I can just speak about these dogs. Now, again, there's a lot... Hold on, can I just finish real quick? Yeah, of course. There's a lot of speculation about these breeds that are getting deemed American bully. And so I don't really want to get into a huge debate about what the breed of these dogs that are doing these attacks are. A lot of them don't look like this dog. So also defining the actual breed is super important too. But I can tell you, these dogs, they're not attacking.
How would you define that one in terms of breed?
This is a American bully.
Right. So
an XL bully isn't really a breed. This is an American bully.
OK. So Dr. Lawrence Newport, why do you think that she's wrong?
I think there's a variety of statistics here that are pretty concerning. So you've already said about over 70% of deaths since 2021. The significance of that is that the American Bully was, until around about 2015, illegal in the UK because it was seen as a pit bull variant. They are from pit bull stock. In fact, many of the bloodlines of the American Bully are directly in the late 80s, early 90s from fighting pit bulls. These are pit bulls that were in pit fights and would kill another dog.
They were bred to do that?
Yes.
Bred to kill? Yeah.
Originally, yes. And then what they were was then bred repeatedly over around about 30 years for various shapes and sizes. And those shapes are just different enough to not count as a pit bull in around 2015. And then, of course, they were imported quite a lot in 2018. And by the time they start hitting age of majority, 3 years old, 2021, we start seeing them reflected in the fatalities. And since then, they've been responsible for not only 70%, but in 2022, the largest single year on record of deaths to dogs in this country ever.
Why do they turn? She says hers never have, and we have to take her word for that, but they do turn. Why?
It's really difficult. It depends on the different situations. I mean, the Birmingham attack, for instance, was triggered by an 11-year-old girl running past a dog. So really
That was the attack a couple of weeks ago, where the girl, I think, was bitten on the arm.
Yes.
And she said that she thought that they should be banned. And, in fact, it was in the wake of that attack that you successfully got the ban, you know, approved by the Prime Minister.
Well, the footage there also shows that this dog wasn't responding to being scared or frightened or beaten or anything like this, and it was chasing after people. There's also the case that 50% of dogs in this country, 50% of American bullies in this country appear to come from Killer Kimbo, one single highly inbred version of this dog. It's so inbred it has the same great-grandfather 4 times over. These are fighting dogs bred originally from fighting stock, and so we shouldn't be surprised if they act in that
so
way.
what do you say? I mean, Catherine's still there. They're at Bossy Kennels, and, you know, the dog is simply playful, but it's a massive dog. But what do you say when Catherine says, you know, of the hundreds that she's responsible for over in this country, she doesn't know of one that has turned on its owner or attacked anybody? It is not the dog's problem. It is not the owners that she's dealing with. It must be other owners who are doing the wrong thing, not looking after their dogs properly.
So if it was the owner, you would expect we wouldn't have several of those who have died were experienced dog handlers. For example, these were not people who we would expect to be a textbook example of someone we might call a bad owner. They were either owners of kennels or experienced dog handlers like dog walkers, etc. This isn't what we would expect to see. If it was the owner, you would expect to see many different large breeds reflected. For example, you can't find, despite weighing 80 kilos, you cannot find a Great Dane that's killed someone in the UK ever.
That's a really significant point. Catherine, there are equally big dogs, perhaps even bigger, but they're not responsible for the maulings and deaths that dog type is, your dog type is.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying 100%. But I have to kind of revert back to the point that, is he saying that this dog could turn on me at any second and it's going to? Because I would challenge anybody to come out here and you couldn't get this dog to do something aggressive. So you have to kind of look at, OK, then what is the problem? If you ban XL bullies, just like pit bulls were banned or the next breed, it's just going to be another breed. Another breed is going to make the top of the list, right? And the wrong people are going to get those dogs, do the wrong things with them, and then are you going to ban that breed and then the next breed and the next breed and so on and so forth? There are other powerful, strong dog breeds. I understand that Great Danes may not, but there are other powerful, strong dog breeds like this that people will get if they want to get them as a fashion accessory or they want to get these dogs for the wrong reasons. They will get them. This ban punishes the responsible owners. It doesn't hold the irresponsible people accountable for their actions.
Although, as you were saying, Dr. Lawrence Newport, a lot of those who are victims are actually responsible dog owners. They're not who you might consider irresponsible, who'd bred their dogs, perhaps, or trained them to fight.
Or their children.
It's also the case that it took 25 years, nearly 30 years, to breed a dog of this level of danger. And, in fact, our pit bull ban has been highly successful. We've had very low fatalities. The only time we've had a huge spike is when we let in another pit bull variant, the American Bully.
Catherine, Just to finish with, would you agree with me, tell me if you don't, that the logic of your argument here, and of course you have a vested interest because you make money out of breeding these dogs and selling them here in the UK in their hundreds, but the logic of your argument is very similar to the gun lobby in your country, which argues that it's not the guns themselves which shoot and kill people, it's the owners of the guns. Would you agree that there's a strong parallel between the gun lobby argument and your argument?
No, I mean, I wouldn't agree. I wouldn't compare these dogs to guns. Again, it's so funny that there's so many experts in these dogs, but they haven't put their hands on the dogs like I have. They're not the dogs that I know and I have the experience with. So, no, I don't think these dogs are similar to guns. I think the problem here is irresponsible owners of these dogs getting dogs for the wrong reasons. And if it's not the bully, if it's not the pit bull, it's going to be the American bulldog, it's going to be the cane corso, it's going to be the mastiff, it's going to be the Doberman pinscher. And you're going to have to ban all of those breeds. Because if there was a problem with this breed, there are over 100,000 of these dogs in England. You would see a lot more issues, a lot more than what you're seeing. And
all right, Catherine.
I can only speak with the dogs that I know and experience. I can't speak with these dogs that are doing these things. I don't have the knowledge of what the circumstances that surround them are. But I can tell you that my experience with these dogs, and it's not limited, it's far extensive, beyond...
All right.
This is 6-year-old Mr. Goodbar, who is renowned in the dog world for his size. And across Britain, hundreds of American XL bullies have descended from him.
So, am I right in saying he is one of the most famous XL bullies in this country?
Yeah, if not the most famous.
Why is that?
He's got kids all around the world that are big and beautiful like him. Great temperaments. He has champion and grand champion offspring. Consistently produces not only really good-looking dogs, but great personalities and just kind of the structure and the personality and physique that you want in an American bully.
And there are a lot of American bullies smaller in size like him in the UK who are owned by families and just average people, normal people.
Yeah. There's a great variance in size in the American bully. You can have, American bullies that are 50, 60 pounds up to 140, 150 pounds.
Wow.
We've been given rare access to Bossy Kennels in California, where XL bullies like this are bred and produced before being sent to the UK as family pets. But as their popularity has grown, so too has the rise in attacks linked to their breeds.
It's sad that the right thing isn't being done by this breed, by certain people, if it is this breed that's happening with. Again, it's not our dogs. We wouldn't be able to do what we do. We wouldn't be able to do this for 10 plus years if we had dogs that were hurting people.
There are parents and so many family members who will disagree with you and say that these dogs are dangerous and they have no place in society. Mm-hmm. What do you say to that?
Obviously, animals are big and strong and need to be cared for in a proper way and trained a proper way. And my heart goes out to anybody that has lost a loved one to any animal at all. But to me, shocking, like I said, shocking, because the dogs that I know are not aggressive whatsoever.
These shocking incidents, some of which have been fatal, recently led to the government announcing plans to ban XL bullies by the end of the year.
The Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, has described these dogs as a danger to communities, in particular children. What do you say to that?
Not the dogs I know. These dogs aren't dangerous. My dogs aren't dangerous. I'm not sure what specific dogs are doing these things, but they're not the American bullies I know.
How do you describe what's happening at the moment with the particular breed who are attacking people?
It's hard for me to really speak on that because, again, they're not dogs that I know. It's shocking to me because, again, it's not my experience. My experience with these dogs is that they're amazing. They're loving, they're amazing, they're friendly with people. So it's hard for me to make a comment on dogs that I'm not familiar with.
But for people who will see this and they will say, hey, you breed, XL bullies, and those are the same sort of dogs who are attacking people, how do you differentiate what you do to the dogs who are out there giving these dogs a bad reputation?
It's simple. I tell them, my dogs don't attack people. The dogs that I know don't attack people. The experience I have with these American bullies is not at all what you're saying. And I give them the experience to come out and meet the dogs, come out and see the personalities, come out and hang out with the dogs. I think a lot of it is responsible ownership, responsible breeding, and everything like that.
XL bullies are a relatively new but larger version of the American Pit Bull and were created from a number of breeds, including the Pit Bull Terrier, which itself was outlawed in the UK in 1991. Afi is a breeder.
A lot of these dogs that you breed end up in the UK, they end up with families. How do you know they aren't violent?
I don't know what goes into their breeding, so I can't tell you what makes them different. I can tell you what makes ours the way that they are. And that's the responsibility that we take in watching temperament. Of course, we pay attention to structure, but the things that we pay attention to are the conformation of hips, elbows. Are they healthy? Are they going to last long? Are they going to be in pain when they're older? And we do everything we can to prevent that.
Are they fashion accessories, or do people genuinely love what they're about?
You know, fashion only lasts a certain amount of time. The longevity of these dogs are based upon their temperament and what they've meant to families and family members. And we've had repeat customers. They come back because of the rapport that they build, because of the comfort that these animals bring to families. Whatever that may be to that family, their needs as individuals, these dogs are able to meet that. And because of that, we have a long-standing reputation in the UK of breeding healthy, well-tempered dogs.
And as far as you know, none of your dogs have been involved in incidents or have attacked or killed anyone?
As far as we know, none have.
Get him, poor Buddha. Good boy. You like that paw? Yeah, you like that paw?
What do you think it will mean should these dogs be no longer allowed to exist in the UK?
That's totally discrimination. It's just like saying based on the color of someone's skin, based on the color of their hair. It's the exact same thing as a prejudice or discrimination.
Why do people think that they're monstrous and they're beastly and bloodthirsty, do you think?
It's experience, you know? And if you don't have the experience with these dogs, then you just see, you know, whatever you see, and you look at the dog, it looks scary, of course, you know?
What are dog owners telling you, the ones who are worried at the moment? How concerned are they? Are they in a state of panic?
Yeah, they're in a state of panic, definitely. They're in a state of panic. They don't really know. There's a lot of unknowns about what's going to happen with their dogs, what's the process. And, you know, a lot of people are, you know, have these dogs that they've had for years, and they're like a family member. Maybe some people can't have children, so they got a dog. You see a lot of people refer to their dog as their son. So these people are being told that they might have to not have their son anymore, get rid of their son, or do, you know, the special measurements to keep a family member. So they're really scared.
Do you think people will be willing to give them up should they have to?
Oh, yeah, I think that's going to be a problem. I do. I mean, yeah, you ask a bunch of people to give away their children, their son, their daughter, their family member. I don't know.
And you think it's the equivalent to that?
To me, yes.
Well, this comes ahead of the full ban from the 1st of February next year, where it'll be illegal to own them unless the dog has a certificate of exemption.
OK, we're going to be talking to the Chief Veterinary Officer, Professor Christine Middlemiss, in just a couple of seconds. But first, we're joined by Sophie Coulthard, who owns a 2-year-old XL bully who's called Billy, there he is, and campaigns for a group which is challenging this ban, although that looks like that ship's sailed. You've lost that argument. Look, let's cut straight to the chase here, Soph. You say that Billy wouldn't hurt a fly. But with respect, the owners of dogs like that, who have gone on to attack people and seriously hurt them, have said exactly the same thing. Isn't the problem here that that breed is inherently unstable, and when it loses it, it's incredibly dangerous?
I don't think it is actually, Richard, and I don't think we've seen any proof of that at all. What we have seen is a handful of attacks, and my heart goes out to anybody that's ever experienced a dog attack. But we have thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dogs who are well-mannered, have a good temperament, that live in family homes, and their owners have never seen any hint of aggression from their dog. I've certainly never seen anything from mine. He's been well socialised around other animals, around children, but obviously I take precautions as a responsible dog owner. And I think that that's what we need to look at here is where are the issues, and the issues are with responsible dog ownership.
Why have you chosen that particular breed? I mean, there's a huge range of dog breeds available, and of course there are mongrel dogs as well. What made you pick that breed?
Well, I did my research with my fiance, actually. We were looking for a dog that would suit city life and would also be able to handle kind of long hikes in the countryside. And we did a lot of research. I personally grew up with bull breeds, so the look of a bull breed is just my taste. So he has lived up to every expectation that we had of this breed. Obviously, we've had him before a lot of things have happened in the media. So he's just been the perfect family pet. He's everything we could have wanted. And I'm sure that many other XL bully owners feel the same way about their dog.
So you're trying to stop the ban going through because you want a review of this, don't you? What would you like to see then? Because there's no doubt something needs to happen, doesn't it, to stop the dog attacks and also, you know, the number of fatal dog attacks and disfiguring dog attacks that XL bullies have caused. What would you like to have seen instead of what's happening?
Yeah, so what we've actually lodged with the government last week, which is interesting that this push is happening today, is we've served the High Court and the government with papers for a judicial review over the legislation and also for an interim emergency injunction. So, Richard, you mentioned the ship may have sailed, but we are hoping for a Christmas miracle here because hundreds of dogs will be put to sleep on the 1st of January in rescues already, or further dogs may be abandoned if this legislation comes into place. And we don't feel that it's been done in the correct way. Ultimately, the government's own research that they commissioned found that there were better solutions for responsible dog ownership, because we do have a problem. There is a problem. And we have more dogs in the UK than ever before. We're a relatively small country. And if you look on any local social media notice board, you will see incidents of people in parks with all different types of breeds of dogs, where people have let their dog off lead where it shouldn't be off lead, or they've allowed their dog to go and attack another dog when their dog is aggressive. And this is something that we should be tackling as a country, that we've seen other countries successfully tackle. There are various licensing models across many different countries, and we think that they're a good example of how to embrace responsible dog ownership, bring the community together instead of polarising them and driving them apart, and look at the person who is responsible for the animal instead of the animal.
I suppose the elephant in the room here, the big problem is that you have got totally irresponsible owners, and I don't just mean careless because they let them off the lead when they shouldn't, but you've got mostly men who have that breed, and they basically have them as a weapon. They use them as a weapon to intimidate other people and to attack them.
Let's speak now to the Chief Veterinary Officer, Professor Christine Middlemiss, about this. Good morning to you, because I know that you're out doing the rounds and you're talking about this situation this morning. What about that point then that Sophie makes? Because there are still questions about whether this is the right move. You know, it will result in the death of a large number of dogs. And she's making the point that it's actually the irresponsible owners, it's the people behind these dogs rather than the dogs themselves that are causing the problem.
Good morning. So up until 2021, we'd had 3 fatal dog attacks. Since 2021, we've had 23 fatal dog attacks, and XL bullies have been disproportionately involved in those attacks. When they are in a situation where they're being aggressive, they are incredibly powerful dogs. They've got these very strong jaws, and that's why we're taking action to ban them through this legislation. For responsible owners, like we've seen, and I agree there are many responsible owners, please register for a certificate of exemption and take those actions that we know will help protect the public from the aggression of XL bullies.
But presumably you would like to see this breed phased out completely, wouldn't you?
Yes, because we're seeing this their disproportionate involvement in attacks. And as I say, the whole physicality of them makes it, when they're in those situations, very, very difficult to control, and we need to protect the public.
How are you going to know if everybody has registered who should have done? We know that there's over 4,000 exemption certificates that have been received so far, but do we know how many XL bully dogs there are out there? How many should you be receiving?
So no, we don't specifically know, and that's one of the reasons for having a register, so that we know exactly how many dogs there are and where there are. Animal welfare charities estimate at the moment there's probably about 15,000.
Okay.
As you say, we've got over 4,000 registered, So the message is really encourage those who have not registered, please come forward and do so.
You're just hoping that all those people who have an XL bully or an XL bully type are going to come forward, because there are going to be concerns for those irresponsible owners, which presumably are the ones that you really want to tackle, because they're the ones whose dogs are doing most of the attacking, aren't they? That you will have no idea who they are or where these dogs are.
Well, we'll be working with local authorities and the police and things, because it will become a criminal offence after the 31st of January to own one of these dogs and not have a certificate. So we'll be working with the enforcement authorities and things to take action on the ones that are not registered.
But sorry to be cynical, but it just makes you wonder if any policeman who's on patrol, that's a rare enough event as it is anyway, strolling down the street is going to stop somebody who's walking a dog that looks like an XL bully and ask for proof of certification. They're not going to do it, are they? This law is going to be enacted probably after there's been an attack.
Well, the police and local authorities have been very involved with us in operationalising this legislation and to make it work on the ground. We all want to see a reduction in these attacks, and so we're working together in this process where genuine owners can keep their XL bullies, but we are able to work and support those that aren't registered and remove them.
Just finally, it's a general point. It's commonly said and reported that this breed is bred to be aggressive. What's that process? How has that happened? Basically, are breeders, going back over the last few years, looking at a dog which has displayed aggressive behaviour and thinking, right, I'm going to mate that with a bitch which has also displayed aggressive behaviour, so we up the level of aggression? Is that how it works?
Potentially, yes. This is not a breed recognised by the Kennel Club, doesn't have specific breed standards. People mate the dogs, as you say, to get the breed priorities that they want. They're very physical, strong dogs. And so you have to assume that that's how they have come about in the first place. There seemed to be a market for them, and breeders have responded to that.
For owners of XL bully dogs have to register their pets, or by midday today they will risk losing them and they'll get a criminal record. There are more than 30,000 dogs registered for an exemption certificate so far, and that's of course after the government banned the breed following a spate of attacks on humans.
Yeah, so at midday today it means it'll be illegal to own one without the relevant paperwork, and they'll need to be on a lead and muzzled in public. Dog trainer Kay Taiwo is here with her XL bully Niger. She feels the new rules might lead to more attacks because the dogs won't get the exercise they need. Dr. Sam Gaines from the RSPCA is also with us this morning. Kay, you've brought Niger in. I mean, she couldn't look more sort of docile right at the moment. Oh, she knows we're talking about her. You've got her muzzled already. What else have you had to do by the deadline?
So I had to get the insurance. I got the exemption. I did mine like a week after the thing came out.
How much did that cost?
So it was 90 something, like £95 or something along that amount.
For the registration?
Yeah, and then you have to pay £25 with Dogs Trust to get like a companionship thing, which includes personal, like public liability insurance.
Right.
So you have to get those two things in order for you. And then you have to get your dog neutered as well.
So she's sterilised?
Yeah, so she's worked, like I have an appointment booked for her.
With bitches and dogs?
Everyone. Every boy and dogs have.
So she is the last generation of XL, is it? As all the other dogs, XL dogs in the country are. We won't have any more bred.
No more, yeah.
No. And when you take her out, she has to be muzzled in public, and you have to keep her on a lead.
Yeah.
And is she microchipped?
Yeah.
Right. But so you're doing everything right. Why are you still concerned?
Because even if we take away this ban and we talk about dogs, we understand that dogs need exercise.
Yeah.
Dogs need correct, nutrition. They need to get this, they need to get that.
But you're taking her, we see the pictures here.
Yeah.
Take her for a walk.
Yeah, this is even old footages where you see how she's like going out and like we have fun.
Yeah,
now,
why would dogs like her and all the other people who registered their dogs as you have, why are they going to get less exercise? I don't see the link.
So, for example, some dogs like her, she likes to play with a stick, she likes to play with a ball. Now, that is taken away from her.
Because she's on a lead.
Exactly. And even the muzzle as well.
So they can't run around.
So they can't run around, and they can't even if it was like a ball and I was holding her on a leash, she can't do that either.
Right, now why does that make her more aggressive?
It's not going to make her more aggressive, but it's like for any dog, any breed, if you do not give them correct exercise, the adequate exercise that they need, it will cause problems, behavioral problems.
Well, you said specifically it'll lead to more attacks. So can you make that connection for us?
I would say that it would lead to more attacks if the dog has pent-up energy. Like, again, once again, this is how this behavior starts in the first place for a lot of dogs. Behavioral problems come from lack of energy, lack of understanding from the owner what they need to do to make sure that their dog is fulfilled. So a lot of XL bullies, look how big they are. They need more exercise than a Chihuahua. And if we're not able to give that dog the run, the jump, the this that they need, this is possible for them to have more behavioral issues at home.
Nigel couldn't look less aggressive.
Yeah.
You yourself could not look less threatening.
Yeah.
But we do know, we see them, that there are owners of these dogs, this particular breed, who they both look aggressive. You know, you get these, big hulking guys, and they look and they walk and they talk aggressive. You see them. And the dogs are aggressive as well. Why do you want a dog like that?
I think that's a misconception. I think that we have to remember, XL Bully was almost like what's the word? Like famous at the time for negative things. Same way the Rottweiler at some stage, the Doberman. There's times in the UK when a lot of people had Rottweilers or Dobermans, right? Nowadays, you hardly see these dogs. And even before the ban, I'll be so real, the whole phase of people getting XL Bullies was already dying down, and people were already moving on to the next fad. So it's really just a fad, and that's why people are like, oh, I heard the XL Bully's big and this and that. And people who want to seem, like you said, aggressive or want to come across in that way will think, oh, let me go buy the dog. Then they buy the dog and they realize, oh, it's not actually built to be aggressive. Now they're looking for the next best aggressive thing. You know
the trouble
what I mean?
is, though, of course, and Nigel looks complete. I mean, she's even whimpering a little bit as we're talking about the breed. But the fact of the matter is, if Nigel decided to change her mood, and I'm sure you would say she wouldn't, but if a dog of her stature did, I wouldn't be able to defend myself
I think that we have to remember all dogs, regardless of the breed, and they were created for a reason. I think nowadays people think pets or dogs were created solely to kiss and cuddle. That's not the case. Jack Russell is bred to kill.
Yeah.
That is what they're bred to do.
She's a muscular animal, isn't she? And the fact of the matter is, I'm more than comfortable being in, the space of Nigel, but there are others I wouldn't be. And as we know, 22,000 cases of injuries from out-of-control dogs in general in 2022, Dr. Sam Gaines. 6 of the 10 fatal dog attacks in that year, 60% of the fatal dog attacks in 2022 were linked to XL bullies. So Nigel, an excellent example, a well-behaved dog, but unfortunately, too many were not behaving themselves, and the results were fatal.
Yeah, and the RSPCA absolutely agrees that we needed urgent action to be taken. Nobody wants dangerous dogs in communities. We want animals that are living in our homes that make good family pets are happy and healthy. And this actually is one of the reasons why we oppose this particular approach that's been taken by the UK government, because when we look at what causes aggressive behaviour in dogs, it is not a question of breed. It is around how they've been bred, how they've been reared, and their lifetime experiences. And Nigel is a really good example of a dog that, given the right circumstances, makes a really good family pet.
So what would you do? Supposing you were in charge. You were in that section of government making this policy. What would your policy be? Well, how would you deal with the problem?
So we would absolutely want to be tackling the root causes of aggressive behaviour. So we'd want to clamp down on irresponsible breeding. What we've seen as a response to these dogs and a rise in popularity is individuals exploiting them, using them as valuable commodities. That goes hand in hand with poor breeding, poor rearing, and makes the likelihood of them using aggressive behaviour more. And then they've been attracted to certain individuals in society that want a dog that poses risk. So we'd also want the existing legislation to be used. So where there are concerns around individual dogs and their owner, we can take action, intervene at an early stage, and actually prevent incidents from happening.
Yeah, the fact of the matter, though, is that what happens today at midday is going to cut down on the numbers of these dogs. They won't be able to breed. There will be insurance, there will be registration, they'll be microchipped. It's far less likely that the wrong owners are going to have these dogs.
Potentially, but I think what we've also got to look at as well is that whilst we've had breed-specific legislation in this country for the past 32 years, we have seen a rise year on year of people being admitted into hospital for dog bites. So this approach
But if
isn't
60%
working.
of the fatal cases are due to this dog and we start to phase out this dog, that's surely going to lead to fewer fatal attacks.
But what we'll also see is sections of society moving on to different large,
No,
powerful
that's what I was
dogs,
going
and
to
that's
ask you
why
about. That's what she predicts. The people who want to have aggressive dogs because they want to be threatening and they want to use them as weapons, and they do, they're out there. What kind of breed are they going to move on to?
we don't know. I mean, but we always see.
Well, what would you guess? What would your prediction be?
Another large, powerful breed of dog, and I think it's very difficult at this point to predict what that will be. But we certainly see this when we look back in time.
How long would it take to establish a breed like that to be widely available?
I mean, I think if the unfortunate situation that we have is that if there are individuals out there that want certain types of dogs, there are always people that will supply that. And this is absolutely why we've got to tackle irresponsible breeding, why we've got to make sure that we are targeting those individuals that are exploiting dogs in this way.
OK, so you're saying the legislation effectively isn't going to work because they're simply going to move on to other types of aggressive dog, which aren't at this stage illegal. What about the negative aspect of this for the animals themselves? I know you're concerned about people just basically chucking them off bridges.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, the RSPCA is hugely concerned about what happens to dogs that are used for these particular purposes. We know that when individuals are attracted to certain types of dogs for reasons, say, intimidating, threatening, harming people, it often goes hand in hand with real cruel behaviour, and the RSPCA sees the outcome of that. And it is absolutely heartbreaking because so many of these dogs actually make really, really lovely
But what I meant was
pets.
people today who can't be bothered, simply can't be bothered to register their dogs, will simply chuck them away. You're concerned about that?
That's my problem is, like, we have to remember the type of people you're talking about are the type of people who are probably not going to follow the legislation. So these dogs, like, although they're meant to be neutered, this, that, and like, some people are just not going to do anything.
OK.
Just in order to stop that happening, because I know that even this month in South Yorkshire, an XL bully dog was found dead below the A57 flyover, I'm sorry, Nigel, near Bayton in South Yorkshire. And RSPCA investigators fear that she was thrown from the bridge to her death, found with a muzzle still on her face. I mean, it's just absolutely shocking. What can people do if they haven't got the money to register, they haven't got the money to microchip, they haven't got the money to insure? What should they do with their dogs today, you know, as the deadline approaches?
Well, we would absolutely urge people that haven't gone through the exemption process to make sure they do by noon today. If they're concerned about neutering costs, there is help out there to cover that. But it is absolutely critical. If people have not got their dogs registered by noon today, they will be illegal as of tomorrow, and it risks having their dogs seized, and they could have criminal record against them.
And vets are euthanising, aren't they? That's one of the
It's a very small number so far that has been euthanised, yes.
Well, thank you both for coming in.